guys, welcome to the Eli Whitney Museum. Here we are. We have a couple of rules: don't touch anything or mess anything up.
Okay, we can do that. We can handle that. Yeah.
All right, guys. As you can see, this is what he looked like. Eli Whitney was born on December 8th, 1765. He died on January 8th, 1825. He was the inventor of the cotton gin, which was very profitable by cutting the time it took to prepare cotton in the South, which was the main agricultural crop at the time because of the cotton gin. This turned the South and North economies into a huge imbalance, and it would lead to the Civil War. The second invention that he made was the interchangeable parts, and that would lead, those would be the guns which the war was fought with. When Eli Whitney was 14, he worked at his family's nail factory, and he made some of these nails here. Whitney's older brother was a successful farmer. His mom's name was Elizabeth Fay Westborough. His little brother was born in 1820, also called Eli. He was well known during his lifetime afterward by the name of Eli Whitney Jr. In 1777, whenever Eli was 11, his mother, Elizabeth Fay, died. Soon after, Eli Whitney wrote a letter to his father saying that he had sailed away to Georgia, to South Carolina, and he met the family of General Nathaniel Greene from Rhode Island. They invited Whitney to visit their Georgia plantation, Marbury Grove. Phineas Muir was a Connecticut migrant and a Yale graduate from the year 1785, which would later become his business partner. The cotton gin was a mechanical device that sped up the cotton seeding production rapidly, and what would happen was the seeds, the cotton, whenever the crop was ripe, they would pick it off the plant, and it would have a whole bunch of seeds in it, and it was long, tedious work to try and pick out the cottons, try to pick out the seed, and trying to get it to look nice and pure. And so what Eli Whitney invented was the cotton gin, and it would he would put the cotton with all the seeds in it in, and then he'd crank this, and what would happen was it was on a pulley system, and it would there were hooks that ripped all the cotton fibers apart, and there was mesh at the bottom, and the seeds wouldn't fit through, so the seeds would fall to the bottom, and the cotton would come out the other side. So what they had to do was they had to crank it, and then all the cotton would come out the other side, and it'd be pure white cotton that they could use to make textiles with. Next thing we have is the cotton gin patent, and this was from Eli Whitney, and he actually sent a letter to Thomas Jefferson to ask approval of the patent, and he said that it could get patented, but he was actually not very smart business-wise, because he started advertising and selling the cotton gins before it got patented, because he got it patented in 97, but it was actually validated in 07. And so he started selling it, and people started copying his designs and selling it themselves. And so he didn't get any of those money. And then later he tried to sue them, but there was new patent laws, and he couldn't. And then actually later on in his life, he actually did try and sue them, but he ended out broke. I failed to mention that South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, just about every state in the South, paid $50,000 to be able to sell the cotton gin in their state. The only state that didn't was Georgia. That was the state that he invented it in. Whitney finally won the case in 1807. Miller, his business partner, didn't live long enough to see their victory. Ultimately, the patent infringement lawsuits consumed their profits, and the Cotton Gin Company went out of business in 1797. Next, what we have is Eli Whitney's clothing that he would have to wear for a good part of his life. which is right here, and he had to wear that because of all the legal battles that they got into, trying to get profit from the cotton gin, and it actually never ended up working, like I just mentioned, and he was very poor for a long time. All of Eli Whitney's legal battles, and since his New Haven cotton gin factory had burned to the ground, he was deeply in debt, and the French American Revolution spurred up new conflicts between the two, and so the army was wanting people to make guns for them to fight in the war. Over here you can see there's a musket, and Eli Whitney had actually never built one in his life, but he was so in debt that he knew that he had to try to attempt to. He wanted to build. He was told to build a machine that would rapidly produce these guns so they could fight in the war more efficiently and actually win the battle. People often say that Eli Whitney invented interchangeable parts, but the reality of that is not true. The reality is that Eli Whitney actually popularized interchangeable parts in America. As you can see over here, this would be some of the interchangeable parts he might have built. Jean-Baptiste Ventacle de Gadevera, an 18th century French artillerist who created a lot of military tools. He was the one who created the idea of interchangeable parts. He inspired others, including a couple of other guys, to work further ahead on the idea, building smaller weapons as well as artillery weapons, such as muskets and other things like that. In the 19th century, these efforts produced the armory system, an American system manufacturing. Certain of other New Englanders, including Captain John H. Hall and Simmons North, arrived at a successful interchangeability before Whitney's armory did. The Whitney Armory finally succeeded not long after his death in 1825. Y'all have been a great audience today. Do we have any questions? How about you?
Did Eli Whitney mean to rejuvenate the slave population?
Well, actually, that's a good question that a lot of people ask. He actually did not. He believed that it would lessen the slave population because it would make the work easier for them. But it just backfired. Any more questions? How about you?
So, how did Eli Whitney think up the idea of interchangeable parts?
Well, actually, historians have researched and figured out that a couple of days before Eli Whitney started beginning to talk about interchangeable parts, he got a brochure or pamphlet. In the pamphlet was him talking about interchangeable parts.
Oh, wow.
So people may think that he might have cheated a little bit.
Right.
But no one knows for sure. So, any more questions? You.
Yes. I just wanted to know how he thought up the idea of the cotton gin.
Well, actually, there were people who he used to tell the story to about how he saw a cat dragging a bird under a fence, and the bird would come out without the feathers, and so he saw the need, and that's what gave him the push.
Wow. That's really cool.
I would have never
Really
guessed that. That's
Really
weird, but it's cool.
That is really weird.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I got one more question. Can I have your number?
Well, that concludes our session. Thank you. In 1777, whenever Eli was 11, his mother, Elizabeth Fay, died. He was very poor for a long time. Oh gosh, soon as.
Can you breathe?
So he's giving me a hug, guys.
He's giving me a hug, guys.
Yeah. Woo! First hug in a really long time.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Do it. We'll say it's funny for him and not about us.
So
So I set the world on fire. You were fire.
it.